Hello everyone, I'm Cesar and I'm back with another video for Path of Exile, this time with a Stormbrand Inquisitor. So I'm playing this on solo self-found, so I'm using no uniques, no clusters, just a bunch of rare items and things that are relatively easy to replicate. Now how this build works is with three different skills. The first one is Stormbrand in our 6 link. This is our main source of damage. Then I'm also using Lightning Conduit for some extra damage. Basically how the build works is we use a Stormbrand for mapping, and when you need some extra damage you can spam your Lightning Conduit. Since a Stormbrand shocks the enemies and Lightning Conduit deals extra damage to shocked enemies, depending on the level of shock or how much shock effect you have. That's how it works. I'm also using a third skill, Galvanic Field. Now I'm using this one on a trigger wand. You basically get this craft from Betrayal, you have to unveil it, so you trigger a socket spell when you use the skill. Now if you don't have the trigger craft, you might have to use Galvanic Field manually, which would mean that this would be a 3-button build, which is not super nice to play. So if you don't have the trigger wand, you can skip using Galvanic Field. The nice thing about Galvanic Field is that it gives extra damage and we get some nice utility with things like Innervate support for more lightning damage, Power Charge on crit for power charges, of course. You can also link it to Conic Strike, for example, etc. So we are using Righteous Fire for the extra spell damage, since we have a decent amount of regen, life and energy shield. It goes up every 4 seconds because of this node on the passive tree, but with our flasks up, we can actually sustain the energy shield just fine, specifically with the Ruby Flask up. Also, we do have good armor in 16k with nothing up, and 31k with everything up, including Molten Shell. Look for Chaos Resistance on your gear, since it's solo self-found. It's possible to get a good amount of Chaos Resistance if you're lucky. Also look for regen, of course, resistances, strength. Strength is important because since we're an Inquisitor, we also get crit for every point of strength that we have. And we do have 100% crit. That is why we go for Inquisitor. So our crits ignore enemies' elemental resistances, which is super nice. You have the option to go suppression as well. I don't have any suppression, but you can get some here on the passive tree, and also the mastery for lucky suppression. And with some suppression rolls on your gear, you can have a very high amount. You can even go for a shield if you want. I didn't find it necessary, because getting damage can be a bit difficult on solo self-found, so I went for the double weapon. It's a nice amount of extra damage. You can use double wands or double rune daggers or scepters, and look for lightning damage, cast speed, critical strike chance, crit multi, spell damage, of course, +1 levels. Make sure that you have an open suffix on one of your wands so you can craft the trigger. If you're wondering how to get these ones on solo self-found, I suggest that you do Ritual, because Ritual sometimes will offer you good spellcaster weapons. That is how I got both my wands. If you're lucky, you can get a really good wand. A good upgrade would be the Thunderfist unique gloves, because they give you level 30 added lightning damage, so our lightning conduit would be on a 5 link, And they also give you 100% increase effect of lightning elements, basically shock effect. I don't quite have max shock effect against certain enemies, like some of the rare enemies and bosses. That is why I didn't go for the 15% max effect of shock, lightning mastery, because I focus more on the Stormbrand as the main damage and lightning conduit as an extra damage. You can actually play the other way around. You can have your lightning conduit on a 6 link and your Stormbrand on a 4 link. More of a utility, so it shocks the enemy and then lightning conduit deals the big damage. I didn't go for that. Or you can also use both on a 6 link if you use a staff. Especially if you use the triple damage stuff from the, I think it's Eater of Worlds. No, it's the Searing Exarch. Yeah, the Searing Exarch boss. So it's not hard at all to get on Soul Self-Found as well. The problem with that stuff is that it doesn't have cast speed. And I do have cast speed on both my weapons, which is super nice. So yeah, it really depends. But you can play this build on different ways. This is not the only way to play it. You can use Lightning Conduit as your main damage, and Stormbrand more of a supporting skill. Alright, but that is it for this build. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the build if you decide to play it. Take care. Bye bye.